How you been? I already answered the question.
Me, I don't know. It feels good. Lots of things seem to be shifting. It feels like my mind's opening and expanding more. Uh, Feels like I'm more conscious. Like the downloads and stuff I got from the past seem to be coming through more. It feels like everything wants to open really big around us. And I'm just trying to feel it out, preparing for the 18th where we're doing the thing with Pam. And that one should be interesting. And I got a hold of the medicine man from the north, and he's okay with maybe coming down and doing a ceremony. So I told him I'll get back to him after I contact some people and see if I can find a place to actually do the ceremony. And so when I have those things lined up, then I'll confirm dates and stuff like that. Maybe start sending the message out to everybody that, they'll have to get flags and that if they want to be a part of the ceremony. But we'll have to keep it in the down low, and hopefully nobody will say anything. Maybe they'll talk about it after the ceremony, but because he's a little paranoid and like everybody's like, oh, somebody rat us out or somebody will this. And I'm like, I don't want to create that. I want to create something really good. So trying to find a way to bring the energy in and hold it so everybody can have a big experience. And there's 2 other ceremonies sort of focusing on to see if we can manifest that too. So a whole bunch of things going on. And then I don't know, feels like I'm going to start carving more. Feels like that the universe is going to get me do a little more of that. And I'm like, I just don't want to end up stuck with a lot of carvings. So for me,
So
that's
what kind of ceremonies are you planning to do now?
I've
I've missed probably the previous
2
talk.
other medicine ceremonies, and it's other people holding them, trying to connect and see if there's a possibility of going to that.
It's a night lodge. That's the one that he's looking at doing here.
Oh, she can hear us now. Sure.
Cool.
Happy Flippin' Wednesday. I'm so happy.
Yeah. So Leonard, we brought him in to do the shaking tent, and we brought him in to do the night lodges. And it feels really important to do this. So I connected with him the other day, and he says he's open to it. And it's just trying to confirm a day. And I want to get all the right people, like Mercedes to come in, maybe even Janet. Now she might have the time to actually do it. So trying to figure it out and get about 50 people and have the right space for everybody to sit comfortably in and experience it. I feel it's going to do a lot more for Cindy because I think spirits are waiting and she's more aware and more grounded and becoming more conscious of things. So should be an interesting experience for her too.
Is this like a shaking tent, but then it's a night lodge because it's in a stable environment?
In the shaking tent, there's a sauna tube. They build this thing out of 13 willows, and then they fly it, and it's like this tube that stands up. He calls it an interdimensional portal where the spirits come in and out.
The night lodge doesn't have that.
And when the spirits come in, it lights up the whole place. It's like somebody put a 10,000 watt light bulb on it and flashed it. And it flashes out of this tube as the spirits come in and energy goes on. And everybody has their own experience because it's all different. Like what I'm in, I will see and receive lots of stuff. And then Cindy and everybody else will get their own depending on what energies they're meant to go in and out of or what they need to receive.
So I'm having an interesting experience where Joe's telling you the story of this and he's answering your question, but he's going all around and he's adding all kinds of other information along with that question. Inside of me, I'm feeling like an irritation and like a bit of a frustration or this need to control how he's telling you.
Cindy's control.
So inside I'm like, inside my head,
What's your version? Tell us your version of it.
it's like, because like I know the question you're asking. It's like I can deliver it a lot faster. And I'm like, why is Joe always going around with all this other information? And so inside of me, I'm feeling this like frustrated or irritated part. And I'm like, hey, Cindy, why do you feel you need to control how Joe is explaining this? And then it's like, who are you being? And so there's these questions that are going on inside my head. And it's like, it's not a judgment about, what I'm doing inside. It's more like I'm seeking to understand something. And I feel like I'm just asking inside and going there and just being honest with myself. Like, this is how I'm feeling. It's not a projection onto Joe that he's doing anything wrong, because it's not true. Like, inside me is what I'm feeling. So this exact scenario happened on Saturday. And the woman asked me, like, once we got into her place, and then I was feeling again, Joe's going on, and I just want to hurry up, deliver the point, and she asked me, she said, Cindy, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. I am okay. But I recognize that she's picked up on something. And so then I started going over it for a couple of days. It's like, hey, where was I? What was I feeling? Who was I being? And I was like, I was being controlling Cindy inside me. And it's like my energy was like emanating out this like need to control like Joe in a way of how he's delivering the message. And she picked up on the energy, and her question was, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay being the controlling Cindy. Sure. It's like, but do I need to be? Do I want to be? No, I don't. I want to like learn how does it get triggered? How do I go beyond it? And so I'm asking these questions inside myself, and then I just recognized that it happened again. And it's like, okay, like being really calm. Like I was telling Mercedes the other day about how I was driving and got stuck behind the slow person. And then Joe says, Cindy, your patience is really being tried, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, so what? Who cares? And then we go to the grocery store, and there's this old man and his old wife, and they're like kind of like taking up the space, and I want to get around them, and they get blocked, and I gotta, to get around. And he's like, Cindy, your patience is being really tried, right? And I'm like, yeah, but I got in front of him. So like I'm still feeling kind of, but I recognize that Joe's saying this. So yesterday I took the double lane, I took the outside lane, and thinking it's probably going to be faster. Well, it was ultimately slower. The guy was going 10 kilometers less than the speed limit, and for quite a distance. And I stayed behind the slow driver, and I could feel all my patience being tested, right? And I don't like it, but I keep going inside, and I'm like, okay, I'm learning something. I'm like kind of re-altering that sort of trigger inside me. And it kept wanting for me to be frustrated and go around him. And I totally could have for the longest distance. But I chose to stay behind him so that I could become aware of an energy inside of me and learn how to shift it. And it's like, I feel like all our answers are all around us if we would only just ask the question. It's like what we need to learn, what we need to understand is presenting itself through Joe telling the long version of the story might be my like opportunity to learn how to like let go. There's no need to control it, and I don't need to emanate that energy of the need to control, because likely that energy that I'm emitting, he's picking up on it, and he's just like, okay, I'm just going to keep on doing this so that Cindy can learn. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm just recognizing that when you're triggered inside of yourself by an external environment, that it's teaching you something. And if you could ask, what am I learning? Who am I being right now in this moment? Because it's like when that lady asked me, are you okay? Yes, I am okay being in my own energy. This is very familiar. But who am I being? Am I okay with who I am being? Maybe not so much.
See, that's the part I've been spending over 10 years trying to help Cindy to become conscious of, that in her childhood, certain things went on and there's a certain frustration. So it's like, get from here to here. It's like I sit with a caveman and I go, lighter, fire, spark, rocks. And he's like trying to figure it out. And then I go, fire. And he doesn't understand it. And I'm like, I got to explain this whole lighter, the butane, and why it works, because it's not magic. I'm not God. He doesn't need to pray to me, because I can go like this and just snap and make a fire. And it's really important to give the right information in the right way. So I'm saying what Leonard said. He says it is an interdimensional portal, is what he's saying when he builds it. Nobody hears that. People hear all kinds of other stuff and say all kinds of things. And so you have never experienced this. And I'm trying to take you into my mind, into a ceremony, and I'm trying to help you to feel and see and realize something. So I can't just go and put the lighter down, and then you're like, I don't understand. You said, yeah, you were in a tent. There's this round thing moving, and the ceremony is over. There's lots and lots and lots that goes on. So sometimes that explaining, you have to give certain information, because everybody has an imagination. But if they get the right information, they can feel and see, and maybe even spirits can open up that space. And it's like you're sitting in it, because there's times where I'll sit sit with an elder, or I'll sit with somebody, and as soon as they start talking, the energy comes in, and I'm really relaxed, and all of a sudden I'm right in that story. It's like they take me back in time, and I'm sitting somewhere and I'm experiencing everything they're experiencing. And then they come out and they're like, do you know? And I'm like, yeah, I can't tell you what went on in here, but I was right there with you and everything that was going on. So even the spirits and stuff like that, and maybe they showed and told me more than the person understood. So it's very, very powerful. And today everybody chops everything up like you're chopping up pork chops, or you're doing a stir fry. You know how you just take your big cleaver and you just chop everything into chunks and throw it together? And people are that way. It's like we don't slow down in the universe. It's like there's a way of doing things correctly. And for 10 years, I've been patiently trying to help Cindy. And some of my stories get really long, but then they make me add 50 other things into it.